Good evening, everyone. Do I have a motion to go into open? Mr. Sekou, second? That would be Mr. Bowman. All in favor? Aye. We are in open. We were in closed for approximately 45 minutes, and there were two items that we discussed. Number one was real property. Number two was the student matter, and no action was taken. That being said, now we're on to public participation for agenda items only. If you have any agenda item you'd like to speak on, please come forward. State your name, address, and what agenda item you'd like to talk about. You will have 3 minutes to make your comment.
Jacob, we got a switch here to make the Wilson Park. Ladies and
Jake,
gentlemen.
can you speak a little closer? A little closer for you. Here. There we go.
Jacob McGarrett, 612 Sheridan Avenue, Roseville Park. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, viewing audience, members of the board, good evening.
Good evening.
Page 8, number 12. Number 51. What grade is that?
That is a high school student?
Who?
High school student?
If the Board of Education receive federal monies for education, yes.
What agenda item is that? Oh, sorry, Jake.
You folks receive federal money.
What agenda item is that?
That's what we're talking about.
Why don't you say for the second session?
I'll give you the time to think about it, and I'll ask you later.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Matthew Long James, 405 Indiana, Bristol Park. I had a question about agenda item 7 on page 5. The replacement middle school Spanish teacher. I see for the substitute to the agenda item 4, the qualifications are listed, but we know the qualifications of that song.
She is a certified Spanish teacher. Certainly, can provide information.
Okay, that's good motion, sir.
Seeing there's no one else, we'll close the first public participation portion of this evening tonight. And now we'll go on to committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report they'd like to speak on? Mr. Arms?
Yes, Mr. President. Just kind of update, all the lights are down, all the portable lights are in. We have a home game Saturday night, so we'll see how the lights are going to work for us. Friday night, right? I'm sorry, did I say Saturday? See, before they slip, right? No, Friday night we have our first home game, so we'll see how they are. If you notice on the agenda, we've started trying to raise money for new lights. The town and the board are jointly going into the, what is it called? I'm sorry. Kids Recreational Trust Fund. They're putting up 100. We're putting up 100. The trust fund will give each one 100. So that'll give us 400,000 to start. If we don't want the 100,000, we don't take it. So it's a start. Just so everybody knows, we are trying to raise the money to put lights back up. So hopefully we can raise it. We are in the next week, this week and next week, we are having 3 people come in to give us prices on what it will take for the lights. We also are calling the North Plainfield School District to find out who put up their lights. They have telephone poles. I know some people in the community were suggesting that we use telephone poles. Don't know how that will work out, what the cost is, but since they have it, they're just recent, I think within the past 5 or 6 years. I might be a little off. But again, we can see what their cost was and compare it to the other ones. So we'll know a little bit better in the next 2 weeks on what the actual cost will be and how many lights we actually need. Thank you. If you have any questions on the next, towards the end, you can ask.
Thank you, Mr. Harms. Anyone else? And now we're on to the superintendent's report. Good evening, Mr. Rio.
Good evening, Mr. Miller. I know I wanted to have our students recognized first, but you can wait just a little while longer, guys, before we can recognize it. It's not a long superintendent's report. First of all, I wanted to report on the openings of school. We have an outstanding opening. I want to congratulate our administrators, our teaching staff, full staff, and of course our students. I was very impressed when I walked around the buildings. Day one, first hour of the day, students were already engaged. And I couldn't be more proud of what's going on in the buildings. Students were engaged, the staff was very professional, and there was a level of respect between students and staff that I really was very proud of. So congratulations on the start of the school year. It's been a great start, and I hope that continued effort continues throughout the year. Second of all, I just want to remind our parents and community that we do have back to school night, and we already had 2 schools that had the back to school night. That is a night where parents become familiar with the day-to-day operation of the buildings and what their students and their children go through. So just a reminder, Aldean's back to school night is tonight, and I'm sure the entire staff and the parents are there. On Thursday, we have our high school back to school night. So I hope all the parents do come in and see all the great things that are going on in the high school. Next Thursday, the 29th, we have a Sherman PTA back to school night at 6 o'clock. So I'm hoping that all the parents can make that as well. Again, it's a night where we really become familiar and we learn about everything that's going on in the buildings. Finally, we do have some new staff, and we are very happy to welcome them to a district. We have 3 days of orientation before the beginning of the school year, and I got to meet each and every one personally. I got to sit around them and talk to them and welcome them to the district, and I can tell you that we have a very professional staff coming in that can offer the district quite a bit of resources. And I know that not everyone can make it tonight. There was some prior commitment. However, I would like to introduce them. If you're here, please stand so the board can recognize you. If you're not, I want to acknowledge you as well for being part of us there. So I will begin with, I don't know if our Vice Principal of Athletics is here, but the board did meet him before when we appointed him. I would like to introduce our high school media specialist, Ms. Deborah Ciano. Please stand up and welcome. I don't know if this young man is here yet, but he's still, I believe, working in his old district, and we want to welcome him. High school phys ed teacher who has not started yet, Mr. Robert Salamanca. I would like to welcome him as well. Okay, a new high school phys ed teacher and wrestling coach, head wrestling coach, Mr. Ryan Rooney is here tonight. Welcome, please. High school mayor, Mr. Michael Herrera. Sherman special ed teacher, Ms. Kimberly Lopes. Middle school special ed attorney leave replacement, Ms. Kathleen Hissler. If she's here, I believe she might have had a prior commitment. Robert Gordon, part-time art teacher, Ms. Gina Cesaro. Okay, I'm really not sure if the paras are here or not. Academy paraprofessional, Ms. Robin Alba. She's here, not a Robert Gordon paraprofessional, Ms. Jennifer Nicole. Robert Gordon paraprofessional, Ms. Melanie Ayala. Alpine paraprofessional, Ms. Olivia Shoji Jaworski. And I know these teachers have prior commitments and cannot be here, but I would like to welcome to the district Ms. Tatiana Perez, middle school guidance counselor aide. I know she's not here, but I would like to welcome her. Ms. Abby Connolly is a payroll person at a central office, and I'd like to welcome her as well to the district. Mr. Paul Alvarez is the Sherman grade 4 maternity leave replacement. We would like to welcome to Sherman. And PCC special education teacher Sabrina Casale. And high school English replacement teacher is Lauren Amoroso. Here. And I believe I have everyone. And welcome to a district, and I hope you enjoy a wonderful school year and a wonderful career at Roselle Park. Welcome, everyone. And that is my report, Mr. Miller. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garrido.
I'm sorry, I did forget one item that I wanted to discuss with the public. I know that there have been some concerns regarding the transportation to our vocational school students. As you know, we do have quite a large number of students that we transport to the magnet schools and to our vocational schools. I've heard some parents that there was concerns about not being enough space in the buses going in the morning and then coming back in the afternoon. Obviously, I take safety, and the district takes safety, and the board takes safety very seriously. I went over to the bus stop 3 consecutive mornings just to evaluate the situation. And I did see every student did have a seat. However, our high school students are grown. They do take a little bit more space than the typical 10 or 11-year-old. I believe buses are made for that. And I did see that some of the students were very cramped in the seats. And some of them were actually in the 3-seaters section were coming out. I did call the Union County Vocational School, and I'm happy to report to the parents we did add another bus beginning tomorrow morning. So the students will be a little bit, will have a little bit more space on the buses. However, we will continue to monitor the bus situation. The reason why I say that is during the year, there may be some changes. Some students do come back to the high school, whether it's from a vocational school or not. Some get their licenses. They decide that they will drive, and the parents get permission to drive to the magnet schools, or parents decide to drive themselves. So we'll continue to monitor and take a head count. If we see that there's a reduction in the number of students, there's a possibility that we will go back to 2 buses. As I said, and safety will always be our #1 concern. However, there is a cost associated with the third bus. Okay, it's costing us almost $200 a day, which you know, is an expense that we can use for something else if we really don't need it. And again, I don't want to make, okay, the price of anything and compromise the the safety of our students. I want to make it very clear that we will never do that. We will never do that. But if we don't see a need for a third bus, we will, again, go back to 2 buses as long as the students are safe, okay? We will definitely notify the parents. We will do it somehow. But again, I want to thank the parents. I know a couple of parents are here tonight for bringing that to my attention. I really appreciate it. So that's the way we are moving along with the third bus beginning tomorrow morning. Okay? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Garrido. And now we will be going on to student recognition, but before we do that, I just want to echo Mr. Garrido's sentiments and welcoming our new staff to the district. We wish you well. We hope your first couple of weeks have gone well, and you're doing well as if you're a first-time teacher, you just had a change of assignment. We do welcome you to the Roselle Park family in our school district. And in a moment, you're going to see some wonderful examples of our students in our district through this student recognition. And we thank you for choosing Roselle Park, and we know you're going to do a great job. With that, we're going to go now to student recognition. And Mrs. Costa. With the principal's report, Mrs. Costa, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for coming to the high school. It's still warm, so I apologize. We're working on the air conditioning. As soon as we get the lights, we'll work on the air conditioning. But I want to thank you for coming out tonight. I feel weird looking this way instead of that way. So I just want to introduce tonight for my principal's report. First, I'll tell you we're off to a wonderful school year. We're thrilled to be back. There's so many things that I could talk about, but tonight I want to focus on our Technology Student Association. So 4 years ago, Mr. Chin, 5 years ago, Mr. Chin started at the high school. 4 years ago, Mr. Chin and Ms. Romero started the Technology Student Association. It is part of our emphasis to focus more on science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics at the high school level. We started the Sci-Tech program at the high school, and I see a variety of members of our Sci-Tech program. And we also really focused on ways of challenging students to embrace science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and we've been building the arts into that too. So you're going to hear from the students tonight about the different competitions that they participated in throughout the last school year. When we first started, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chin, we had about 8 or 9 students coming in the morning. So at 7:15 in the morning, the students choose to come to a zero-period class. We are now up to almost 60 students in the morning coming to this class. So we have Mr. Chin now who teaches it, and Ms. Resney. And we also have some other teachers looking to get on board with this project-based learning experience for our students, and they take the competition aspect of it all the way up to the state and last year, the national level. So without more discussion, I present you Mr. Chin and Ms. Resney and their slideshow with our wonderful high school students. Ready?
Thank you so much for having us tonight. It's an honor to be here. It's really great for the students to see the support of their town and everybody kind of getting to share what they have done throughout last year. So thank you for that. We put a little presentation together for you guys just to get a glimpse of our journey from through last year straight to states and then to nationals. So I'll start off by just explaining this slide with our trophies from states. All of these students placed in the top 3 at states this year, and you can see those trophies vary from first, second, and third. So we're going to go through each thing anything, and you guys can see. So our first competition was architectural renovation. If you did art renovation, why don't you kind of step forward a little bit so they can see that you were part of that team. So architectural renovation took third place at the state level, and we placed in the top 25 out of 75 schools in the nation when we got to Nashville, Tennessee, which was great. It was our first time there doing this competition, and they did a phenomenal job. The competition was stiff. One of the judges walked up to our physical model, which you see in the picture over there, and said, "Oh, well, it's really hard to compete when you have laser cut models." And we clarified that it wasn't laser cut; it was handmade by one of our students. So by all our students. So it was really awesome. The second project is computer-aided design, which was Sabrina LaSalle, I guess you should say her piece. I'm sorry. This took first place at the state level, and then she took top 20 also at the national level for this competition. This was a bungalow design that she had designed from scratch and basically create working drawings that are somewhat structural and do a whole schedule. So a really in-depth project, lots of detail, and really proud of that one too.
Here we have dragster design. We actually had 2 students able to compete at the state level. One of the students took second place. The other one ended up taking fourth place and just missed the cut. At the national level, even though there's a little mishap with the vehicle, they still placed within the top half of the nation, which for this particular event, there's about 140 individuals participating in this particular event. So again, we continue to grow in that aspect. Right, robotics, there's a TSA level as well as side robotics competition. At the TSA level, we continue to place in the top half. In this case, we were, I think, 25th out of about 60 teams who competed within robotics on the first day. It is, again, a continuing program. We for the regular competition continuously in this state, taking first and second places in autonomous mode programming as well as the overall competition.
Here you can see just kind of a little bit of the fun that we got to have while we were in Nashville. To the left you see a team picture that was right after the awards ceremony, right before we headed home on our 16-hour journey. And then on the right side, you can see we had a little bit of downtime, so we did get to play some sports outside and enjoy some hamburgers one night. And then over here, you can see a little bit of the team at the actual place where the events were held. And then kind of our big win this year was music production. And I'm just going to show a quick 30-second clip of when our school's name got announced nationally for winning first place. It's worked like 15 minutes. So that's it. It's a big year for us. It was a great time. We look forward to making you guys proud again this year. So look out for all that we're doing. We started the program already, and as Ms. Costa said, it's already doing great things. Off to a good start. Okay, so some of the new technology that we're bringing in is thanks to this program and kind of the mark that these students made is we are getting a laser cutter. So now some of the models that spent, no exaggeration, 200 plus hours building that one physical model, that time can be cut probably into a quarter to get that kind of quality produced for these types of competitions, because that's the level that these other ones are bringing. Because we're going against high-tech high, biotech high, schools that are specialized in this. And one thing that I think we all pride ourselves in this year was the fact that not only did we go and we stood a chance against these schools, but we beat them there. So I can't imagine what we're going to do this year with the equipment, and Mr. Chin has
So we also were able to purchase 2 3D printers, which will put us in the market and cutting edge towards anything engineering design based. I know I do have an engineering team, which seems to have like kind of teetered down because we couldn't produce the quality of material that a machine-based item can produce. So with the purchase of those 2 items as well, we should have a few more competitions to compete in and place well in overall.
Thank you for your continued support.
And I just want to thank Mr. Chin and Ms. Resney and also Mr. Seibert, who's not here tonight. And I see quite a few of the parents from the members up here. So it's just a wonderful group, truly dedicated staff, and you can tell just by the success that the program has had from the grassroots 5 years ago of no students to a real vision and a real excitement with the program. So thank you both. And thank you to the Board of Ed and to the board office for the one-to-one initiative that we're starting this year, and just the hard work to continue to allow us the technology that we need to be successful. So thank you very much, all of you. Now, presentation of certificates. Ms. Resney, do you want Ms. Resney to help you out, or? No?
Christina Rodden for music production. First place, please. Sabrina LaSalle, first place for music production. Laura Howell, video game design. She moved. Savi Dingra, video game design. Abe Akab, Vex Robotics. Angel Castillo, Vex Robotics and Dragster Design. I don't think he was able to. Christian Luciano, video game design. Garrett Manny, Vex Robotics. Brandon Mishu, Vex Robotics and video game design. Jonathan Perez, Vex Robotics. Casey Crown, Architectural Renovation. Julian Victoria, Architectural Renovation. Samantha Graves, Architectural Renovation. Manuel Luna, Architectural Renovation. Joshua Franco, Architectural Renovation. And Sebastian Leo, Architectural Renovation.
And students, if you have homework to do, you don't feel obligated to hang around. But we thank you so much, and Mr. Chin, Ms. Resney, Mr. Seibert, thank you so much for making us proud of our students and their accomplishments and their hard work, and we wish you well in the new school year. And now we'll move on to policy. Where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 1 through 2. 1 being district policy adopt, and the second one, district policy adoption. Do I have a motion? Mr. Nelson, second. Second, Mr. Vita. Are there any questions or comments? Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Vice President Harms. Mr. Balaban. Mr. Bowman.
Yes.
Mr. Cancino.
Yes.
Mr. Gerke.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Sekou.
Yes.
Mr. Vita.
Yes.
President Miller.
Yes.
On roll call, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And now we're on to personnel, where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 3 through 11. Just to note that we have 2 additions, and that would be 3B and also 8B, which were added to the agenda and posted on the online agenda as well as the agenda that you received this evening at the front entrance. With that, the agenda items are 3A, maternity leave of absence. 3B is medical leave of absence request. 4 is district substitutes. 5 is additional lunch aid. 6 is additional high school extracurricular coaches, proctors for 2016-2017. 7 is change of assignments. 8 is staff appointments. Also, and 9 is breakfast supervisor personnel. 10 is lunch supervisor personnel. And 11 is professional development. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Gerke, second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Cancino. Are there any questions or comments? Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Vice President Harms.
Yes.
Mr. Balaban. Mr. Bowman.
Yes.
Mr. Cancino.
Yes.
Mr. Gerke.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Sekou.
Yes.
Mr. Vita.
Yes.
President Miller.
Yes.
On roll call, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And now we're on to education, where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 12 through 13. 12 being 2016-2017 education programs, and also 13 educational trip requests. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Sekou, second.
I'll make it.
Mr. Gerke? Are there any questions or comments? Good luck to the robotics team as they enter those competitions. Great at Union, Rainy, and Lower High School. And also to the great, have fun at the Sterling Hill Mine for grade 5 Sherman students as well. It's an interesting place. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Those items are approved. And now we're on to business, where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 14 through 21. Please note that 19K, Rosa Park Youth Football Cheer Practice, has been added as well as those other 2 items I mentioned before. So 14 would be approval of bills, 15 would be transfers, 16 would be approval of minutes, 17 would be monthly certification, 18 would be district contracts, 19 would be use of buildings and grounds, 20 would be violence vandalism report, 21 grant acceptance, 22 grant application. I'm sorry, forgive me, that'll stand alone. And so I'm just going to go to 21 grant acceptance. Do I have a motion? Mr. Harms, second?
Second.
Mr. Sekou? Are there any questions or comments? Oops. So noted, Mr. Nelson, abstaining from number 16.
Mr. President, number 99, is that a new program? Have we offered that historically?
Mr. Gerke, Mr.
Mr. Gordon, yes. The past 2 years, parents have been asking if the work family can extend their child care services, and it's worked out really well for those working parents that need that additional child care.
Fantastic, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? I will be abstaining from 19C and D. With that, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Those items are passed. And next, still under business, I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda item 22, which is grant application. Mr. Harms, second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Cancino. Are there any questions or comments? We'll keep our fingers crossed on that one, and I applaud the municipality working with us together to raise much needed funds.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
just with the grant application, is there a, I guess, board date, end of the board date for the notification?
Not to our knowledge. Yeah. So after, probably in the new year, Mr. Bowman. Anyone else?
Is the grant amount, Mr. President, is making you trying to attack?
Well, the total is 400,000. As Mr. Holmes said earlier, the town would is going to pay 100,000, and we would pay 100,000, and through this matching grant funds, they would match that 200,000 to make it a total of 400,000.
I'm sorry, one more question.
Sure.
Is this a yearly grant? Is this it's a one-time?
One time.
Yeah, it's a one-time grant. But there's a possibility we could roll it into. We could apply again this year. It'd be great if it'd be renewed.
The board cannot, it has to go through the municipality, that's why we're doing a joint venture on this thing here, and the municipality was gracious enough to give us the opportunity to take part in this particular grant. So we're thankful to the council for offering it to us and trying to help us raise money for the lights.
Thank you, Mr. Harms. Roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Vice President Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Balaban? Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Cancino?
Yes.
Mr. Gerton?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Sekou?
Yes.
Mr. Vita?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yes.
Roll call, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And now we're on to continuing business. Mr. Reader.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I just want to report on our re-registration. As you know, we re-registered students during the month of August. We had 6 days that of re-registration. We also had dates right before school started. As of today, there are 29 students that still have not completed the re-registration. They might be missing one item of document, maybe two. There are 29. They are still in the buildings. We will find out what our legal actions can be. We'll work with, obviously, our attorneys. However, there are 29 students that, again, could be missing one piece of document, maybe a bank statement, or possibly a choice of an insurance or so. So we will be working with our attorneys to find out what legal action we can take. Now, I just wanted to also report on two things. At the end of the school year in June, we had 2,051 students enrolled. As of today, we have 2,049 students enrolled. That's after the re-registration. Obviously, we still have 29 students pending. We did lose a few students through transferring out. Whether that had to do with the re-registration or not, we're not sure. But again, the district made the effort to re-register every single student. We will continue to pursue the families that have not completed. And again, we are bound by the law in terms of what students, what we can do with those students. Definitely the law does say that students cannot be out of school. So we will definitely have a discussion with our attorneys and find out what more we can do. But as of now, we have 2,049 enrolled in the Roselle Park School District. Thank you.
Is there something that we might know now what we can do. I mean, we're talking 29.
Yes.
We're into 1 month already. If it proceeds any longer, we're not gonna be able to throw them out.
Yes,
And
what,
again, we've been in that predicament before,
right,
where we procrastinate, we don't follow through, and we end up paying, so our re-registration goes for naught.
we would certainly work with our attorneys. I don't know legally what we can do. There is a law in New Jersey, you have to, even if students do not have any documentations, they need to be registered and placed in the school building, and there's a 21-day law, I believe 21-day law that we have to abide by. We've been in school for approximately 5 to 7 days or so. So we haven't met that 21-day law yet. I would certainly work with our attorneys to find out legally what can be done. Right now, we cannot just throw our students out. I know that they're protected by law in terms of being in school. So I will certainly report. Once we get guidance from a legal team, I will certainly report it to the board and to the public as well.
So you might be saying that the law is going to tell us that we have to keep these 29 students?
No. There are certain things that we can do. Obviously, there are residential investigations that can be made. We can certainly have a board hearing if we feel that certain members of the student body do not live in town. We have letters that come right from the state. Of course, they have the right to go to the Commissioner of Education and pursue that matter there. But we will pursue whatever legal system we have in our favor to try to get whatever documents, or if they don't live in town, to make sure that they're out of the district. Okay, there's a procedure in place, but we have to follow it. And we will do that as soon as the time comes.
And I understand that, and we will keep on talking about this, but it just bothers me that we spend the time, effort, and money to make sure that we are educating the students that have residence, they're domiciled in this particular borough, and now we have 29 students that they're missing an insurance. What kind of insurance are they missing? They can't get a form. And I know they're just an example, but if it's that small of an issue, why wouldn't they have it? I'm having a very difficult time understanding. Now, if you told me that there was 2 or 3 that couldn't work with their original birth certificate, I can understand that. But I can't understand an insurance. My gosh, there's so many things that you can get that's a lot of people. That's a lot of students, because last year, if I remember, we only had a total of 4 that we found that did not reside in the borough. Well, right now I know 29 might not reside in the borough.
Right, Mr. Holmes, again, I will work with our attorneys. There are letters that are sent home, and then, as you know, we do have a residential investigator that goes to the house. We will follow whatever the procedure is legally that we can follow.
I understand all that, but again, if I hire this person, that costs the district money, when in fact we should have had these 29 already. I mean, I'm just having a hard time accepting that we have 29. And this isn't your fault. It's just that, why did we go through all of this if we're just going to, not that we're going to, but if the bottom line comes down to it, it might say at least 29, you just stay here just because the law says they can. And I'm paying for 29, the rest of the audience out there is paying for 29 people that don't belong here. And I have a difficult time to go over all that.
Well, Mr. Holmes,
again, we lost some students, but we're still being said we had 2,000 something?
2049 is.
2049 to start.
Right,
Okay, last year we had 2051?
right, correct.
Okay.
At the end of the year.
At the end of the year. Okay, so if I take the 4 up there, okay. Still, this is gonna bring us way over. I'm just thinking in my head, he's 29, long in town.
We will continue to proceed with whatever legal means we have, but we will definitely pursue that.
So, Mr. Green, just to clarify, so 29 students that got registered for various circumstances.
Well, they are registered, they haven't gone through the re-registration process. They were registered prior to.
So, would it be like various situations, like maybe missing a certain document?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Completely not.
Some of, yeah, I think the majority missing one document or very few documents. I don't have the numbers, we're missing, everything that we require, but yes.
So you're working with the attorneys to
Yes.
find an alternative
Of
to
course.
some of those?
Yeah, the
For
more.
example, bank statement. Some people don't have bank accounts.
Exactly right,
So, I mean, there
That's
has to
right.
be some type of
that's right.
alternative for certain situations
Right.
that still verify that someone lives in the district.
And of course, and it might come down to resident check to make sure that they live in town, so absolutely, yes.
Mr. Garrido, thank you, Mr. Bowman, for asking that question. Mr. Garrido, so if I hear the dialogue going back and forth between you and Mr. Harms, am I correct in assuming that it's, once we reach that threshold of the number of days in school, then it will be the normal residency investigation,
Yes.
residency analysis that we do day in
Yes.
as part of our operational policy of the district. So we just have not reached that threshold
We
yet.
have no reach, I mean, we can start, our investigations, but absolutely. You want to give the parents time, I think Mr. Bowman said, maybe they're missing a bank statement because they don't have a bank account or so. So we give them that time to make sure they can provide the information.
So I think the assumption is though, is if they don't provide it, we are moving into that phase.
Absolutely. We're required to do it,
And
yes.
that, Mr. Burton, correct me if I'm wrong, would be costing taxpayers money, correct? My whole point comes down to if it's a bank statement. So then, if you can help me then, if there's 29 students that aren't registered, I'm going to say legally, I apologize for the lack of the word I used, but if only, so how many out of the 29 might only need a bank account? Okay, so now if I need a bank account, but I have 99% of the things saying that they live at 284 Seton Avenue. Okay, so I only need that. But I don't think that's the way it is. So correct me if I'm wrong. So how many of the 29 only need that? That they don't need other things, other important things like, okay, where's a bill that you get, you pay your gas bill, your electric bill, your whatever, your car insurance, your home insurance, or whatever. That's more concerning that they don't have that, because then they might not be living at that particular address. Now, over the years we've had this where people think because they have homes or they have businesses in here, that they pay taxes on in particular dwellings, that they're allowed to attend our schools. That's not the case. They have to be domiciled in the borough of Rosa Park, correct?
Correct.
So again, I mean, we can say that they're only missing one bank statement. Okay, give you that. Birth certificate on 3. So let's say out of 29, that's 9. I still got 20. And I'm not apologizing for making a big stink, but this is 29 students that we do not have, and then we at the 21st day, or the 22nd day, we can start the procedure to investigate whether they are legally in the borough as residents or domicile. And that's going to start costing money, because now we have to hire this investigator. You sit there and go here. So, because they can't produce, we pay. Not understanding that at all. Why should I have to pay, or the taxpayers pay, for somebody just because the law says we have to do that? Well, maybe the law should come up here and start paying for their education until they're proven that they are or not. Instead of having us. We're having difficult now trying to keep our budgets tight and all that. Now we're going to be paying for 29 more students. And you know where that's going to go. We'll be talking about this in here in January and February next year.
Thank you, everyone. And I echo the sentiment. I think we just need to be sensitive yet pursue this issue, but also be sensitive to some socioeconomic conditions that some folks may have, like Mr. Roman stated, without not having a bank statement. But if we can look at those cases but resolve them and then move forward, like Mr. Harms wants, as well as the board wants, to rectify the situation. But that is a vast improvement over that last 400 number that you gave a while ago. So good job with that. And do we have any new business, Mr. Rita? Anyone with new business? Since there's no new business, we'll go to the second public participation portion tonight. If you have anything you'd like to speak on, please come forward, state your name, address, and what you'd like to talk about. You will have 3 minutes to make your statement.
Joe Signorello Jr., 625 Woodland Ave. I wanted to talk about a lot of good things tonight, but first thing, Mrs. Jaskula was going to bring this up. I'd like to bring back the bonfire. Mrs. Jaskula, I think, has had a little chat with the superintendent. The fire department will love to support the Board of Education on building the wood, whatever the teepee, whatever you call it, and helping out Cliffy, getting the supplies. Make sure the field is left the way it's found. Put the fire out, we'll come back the next day. I'd like to encourage you folks to vote on it or make a decision, bringing back the bonfire on Thanksgiving evening. Just a little quick thing.
Mr. Sigler, just one on that. Will we check with the football coach? Just make sure.
Yeah, yes, sure, yes.
I mean, we have to make sure that they're. I'm all in favor for it. You know, for some reason I've been thinking.
We would be there to help build it.
Okay.
Of course, we're going to be there for years to put it out.
And we do it on the JV softball
Go
field?
Park. It's been a while. Yes.
JV
Yeah,
softball
it would
field.
be on we put it on the interior of the baseball field, not the grass. We don't bring the fire truck out on the truck on the field and whatever, so there's no damage, whatever it's not.
We got a little bit of time, but if you could check out, we can check out ourselves and see if the football coaches are in favor of it. We have to have them participate in it, of course.
As a new athletic director, I guess coaching, that would be great. So I hope you guys can make
talk to Mr. Floyd about that.
We're there to help. If you guys want to handle it 100% building it, or whatever, I'll waive the fire department.
You built them. The fire department's always built them.
Yeah. Well, we'll work
Mr.
together.
Mr. Matt used to build it.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
Fire department.
And we'll have some lights on that.
So
We have lights.
No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Is this on? Just a quick question, President Miller.
Yes.
Is this an issue that the board will actually vote on, or is this an issue that will go through the principal administration at the school?
This is actually, it's a building and it's a facility, and I believe the building principal, the athletic director you mentioned, Mr. Signorello, should be part of this discussion.
Sure, 100%.
It's definitely something.
I hope you guys move forward. Just real quick, some of you still know I've been trying to help out with the lights. I had a good conversation with North Plainfield. A friend of mine is the mayor of North Plainfield. He put me in touch. You're going to believe this one. Those poles are 29, 30 years old. They didn't really know. I lost a lot of money that day. I went back, they were 10, 15, under 10. Allegedly, they don't recommend putting wood up. I don't know that, but they are close to 30 years old. Believe me, utility company I work for, we got poles that are 7 years old. Maybe they're hurting, but I bet you there's poles out there that are 60 to 70 years old.
So maybe I didn't understand. They were saying that they're not recommending to put the wood poles up?
The athletic director said now they don't recommend it.
Okay, so
I don't know that is it true or not, but if someone else wants to look into it, I'll go with that. Real briefly on the 29 students, can I ask a question? You know how when you got to get a driver's license, you need those points. I hate to say I don't know what they are. Maybe the board or superintendent could just tell the audience, you need 4, 10, 8 points of information. And maybe if it's, let's say it's just 5 and they have 4, I feel the same way you do, Mr. Harms and folks. It's 29, it's 29 too much. There should be a criteria. Let's say it's 5. If you only have 1, or is there some kind of ruling, whatever? If you only have 1, then see you later, all right? But if you have 4, give them some time.
So there's a New Jersey regulation that sets out exactly sort of what you're suggesting and lists items that are acceptable, not a specific number, doesn't require certain things over another, but says these are the kinds of things that would help establish residency. So those are the same guidelines that the district uses with respect to collecting that information. I think that at the point that we're at now is saying, now that we have 29 students, the information for each particular student needs to get sent over to take a look at. What are the next steps going to be? Because each situation could be different based upon what they...
So it's set in stone, it's 5 points, 2 or 4.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morello.
I'd like to direct this question to Mr. Harms. Do we have a school officer that can check up on these children?
No, we don't.
The question, do we receive federal money for education in Roselle Park?
Yes, we do. We receive NCLB and IDEA funds.
I forgot to mention the students. Any closed session items that were resolved or discussed?
The closed session items that were discussed was number 1, real property, which is listed on the front of your agenda. And then the second item was a student matter that Mr. Miller announced when we came back into public.
Will you go for a closed session again tonight?
No, that was the executive session at the beginning of the evening.
This question is for Mr. Guarrido. Mr. Guarrido, when you check the students on a bus, the capacity, would any of the children wearing their seatbelts?
No, the bus had not moved. It was parked, so they were not wearing, at the time, they were not wearing the seatbelt. The bus was parked at the time that I went in. At the time, they were not wearing the seatbelt. No, that was it.
Do they have seatbelts on the bus?
Buses do have seatbelts on, yes.
Who checks?
It's a regulation. The bus drivers, for the municipality, but they do have seatbelts on the bus.
Who checks if the children have the seatbelt on? The bus driver or the companion on the bus?
The bus driver drives the bus. The seatbelts are on the seat, and the children or the students do put on the seatbelt.
Does the driver tell them to hook up their seatbelts?
He reminds them. I'm sure he reminds them. Yes. Before he leaves, he makes sure everyone is in their seats, and he reminds them to make sure the seatbelts are on. Yes.
Well, it's a little too early for me to get up and check them there. Okay. But since you checked the bus,
7:15 the bus
check them if they have the seatbelts on? That's very important because all these buses are crashing
Absolutely
up
correct.
with tracks and trailers and whatever.
Absolutely.
And children are precious to us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Jennifer Sansky, 151 Warren Avenue. I am here to discuss the transportation. I appreciate what you've done and what's going to be able to us tomorrow, but the seatbelts do concern me as well. I mean, it's important. I mean, they're so cramped and sitting on the floor and doing those things, and how could they even wear a seatbelt? So let's hope now, But my other problem is varsity sports. My girls are on the varsity soccer team. They went to Ken Play School on Saturday. They took the small bus, the smallest bus that we have. There was 23 girls, 3 coaches, and all of their stuff. There was girls on the floor. I mean, these are things, this is my child's life that you have in your hands. And all the other, residents' children. I don't understand. It's a no-brainer. Well, I mean, the safety of these children are so important. I don't think we should wait till they get in an accident and kids go ping-ponging around before we do anything. And to find out that there was 3 buses last year, and then my daughter's a freshman and there's only 2, what was the reasoning for that? To save money? Money's not worth my child's life. I just don't understand it. It's just so confusing to me. As a taxpayer, as a parent, I just don't get it.
We should be able to ratify that.
I mean, today,
Sure.
I spoke to Mr. Foy. I will give him, they went on a big bus today. But should it take for somebody to make a big deal, and the safety should be there no matter what? It
No,
shouldn't be for me to call
it might have
and
just
say
been an oversight, and, we apologize for the oversight. It might have been just an oversight. He's new in this thing here, but that shouldn't be. So if it's straightened out, and we got the bigger bus today,
Let's hope it
and
continues.
we'll continue.
Because word on the street is the girls are not as important as the boys, and that's ridiculous as well.
They're all
Everybody should be important.
they're all our kids. There's nobody more important than our kids.
I want to thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you very much.
We'll certainly have a discussion with the athletic director and make sure that every student has a seat.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Lansky. Sol appears at 150 Berwyn Street. I report call Mr. Collett that he gave notice to his absence to visit.
Yes.
Regarding the likes of the 100,000 that would be, for lack of a better word, put up by the district, through the chair to Mr. Holmes or anyone on the board, will that amount go to a referendum? That 100,000?
No, that wouldn't have to. Because it's a grant.
No, the matching.
Oh, the matching?
Right, because you said it would be 100,000 matched by the district, 100,000 matched by the town. Would that 100,000 be put on a referendum?
Hopefully not.
Okay.
Not sure.
Okay. Regarding the bus, the extra bus, that $200 a day, does that include insurance, driver, transportation? So I did the math. If we did it every day, 183 days, it'd be $36,000. How much was transportation? How much is the transportation for 2 buses right now?
Well, we own those 2 buses that we sent to locations.
How much did that cost? About what?
About 90,000.
About 100,000 each, right?
Yeah, just 1 bus.
Depending on the style of bus, anywhere between $80,000 to $100,000.
And for the salary for a driver?
They're paid on an hourly rate, so depending on the number of hours they work per day.
Would it be $20,000 a year, you think? Less?
Well, our bus drivers service transporting our students every day of the school year back and forth to Scotch Plains several times a day. They also service athletic teams being transported. So there's a larger amount.
I'm just asking because I guess Mr. Carrillo said it'll be visited during the year depending upon the fluctuation of enrollment. So $36,000 is about 3 times less than a bus. So if you can rent 3 buses for a year for the price of 1 bus, not including salary, not including insurance taken care of. So I guess my other question is, will 1 bus, I know there's, I guess 3 sessions. There's a full day session, morning session, afternoon session. And that's where it varies, right? So you have some students who are going all day, and some students who are going in the morning, and How many students in each about are there? So look, what I'm asking is, suppose a bus fits, I'll just give a number, 30 students. There's 64 students. Are we gonna have, like one bus, have like 5 children? Do you understand what I'm saying?
That was happened, was it 2 years ago? We had the issue, we had 4 extra on there, and we had to run the bus. If you remember, for the 4 children. And again, then other children started going on that bus, of course, because it was less crowded once they found that out. But we did have to rent the bus for them 4 children.
With regards to the buses, and forgive me, Mr. Guerrero, as I sit here and hear what the public's asking, so I know sometimes for the smaller varsity teams, we use shuttle services, like for maybe the bowling team. Are we able to potentially put, if there ever is a case where there's 4 or 5 students, does it make sense to maybe,
Yeah,
are we
we
allowed to do that, to transport
Yes.
between schools like that?
We can do that.
You know, so that may be, I don't know if it's cheap, all right, but, you know, I'm sure that you guys.
We'll certainly look into that. Absolutely.
Hi, Matthew Lange, 245 DM. One question about the busing. It sounds like the big problem is providing busing for students who opt later on not to take it, right? We start with 3 buses now, and then the demand for busing shrinks to whatever decisions, and suddenly we're paying for 3 buses for 1 to 10 people. So my question on that is there a way to keep track of needs to take the bus?
If we keep, the drivers keep a tally on a daily basis of the numbers. If we see a drop, then obviously we'll do that. Yes.
Is there a way for that to be initiated for the families, where the families saying, we don't need a bus because we're already driving?
We can look into that. We can certainly send some information.
I understand we're obligated to provide the transportation, but we're not obligated to provide it if we don't want it, right? Second question.
That's a good point. The only thing I'm concerned with is that if the parent does say, I don't, and then their circumstance changes, now they need it, and we have to give it. So we have to watch how we do that, you know what I mean? Might be good at the beginning, and then, of course, later on.
Sure. Either way, it seems like there's uncertainty about the need, and it would be better to be certain.
Absolutely.
Second thing, last meeting, there was a question from the resident about the new policy of not switching the math classes for like 4th, 5th, and maybe for grade 2 for elementary schools, and suggested a report from the superintendent and director of curriculum.
Yeah, what we are required to do a testing presentation, Mr. Salvo, as the director of curriculum. When he does that, it has to be done before December 1 or so, usually is that date. He will certainly make that part of his presentation as well. I spoke to Mrs. Salvo already. I've had conversations also with parents regarding the change and the rationale for it and the pros of making that switch. So we certainly will have some kind of report in the near future.
To clarify, that would be when?
He has to prepare. We've been typically making that presentation in one of the November meetings. So it will be either the last October or one of the November meetings. Okay? Thank you.
Seeing there's no one else, we'll close the second public participation portion of the evening tonight. And now I'd like someone to make a motion to adjourn. Motion. That'd be Mr. Vita, second. Mr. Harms. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned, and we look forward to seeing you October 4th at 7 o'clock in the Aldine Auditorium / Gymnasium. Have a good night, everyone.